We have an absolute banger this week at Bungie, 12/1/2022. There's a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. Let's go ahead and go down to what's arriving in Trials of Osiris, the Exalted Truth Suros Adaptive Hand Cannon. It's also going to be Adept. So, the most popular archetype of hand cannon, going to have Adept mods. Since it's Suros, it does have Suros synergy. And usually these aspirational weapons are beefy in stats, so it very well might be able to compete with Austringer, Palindrome. We're going to have to wait and see. The Unwavering Duty Suros Adaptive Machine Gun. They talk about machine guns later on, but again, this is a Suros. Got to have that trait. Also going to be Adept. Bow, sidearm, shotgun, fusion rifle are staying. The Embrace Scout Rifle and Reed's Regret is going to be leaving. For Iron Banner, Dark Decider Auto Rifle. That should be pretty good. Gnor's Axe Slug Shotgun. One of my all-time favorite slugs. Sidearm Rocket Fusion SMG. Frontier's Cry Hand Cannon, Razor's Edge Sword is staying. What is leaving? The Forge's Pledge and the Reese Walker. And that sucks. Reese Walker is extremely good. Nightfall, the Wendigo is going to be a Nightfall weapon, heavy grenade launcher, and then the Hung Jury is coming back, but it did get a nerf. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. The Sniper Rifle, Duty Bound, Auto Rifle are leaving. We talk about some ornaments, and then we start getting into Chris Proctor. Full Auto is going to be on all weapons. That's going to be good, and because of this, we'll get into it a little bit later. Some of the perks on full auto weapons are going to get changed. A really big thing with shotguns, they actually start going into spread pattern for shotgun subfamilies. And we see the aggressive is going to be an evenly distributed cone. Precision is going to be more oval, vertical. Lightweight is going to be a diamond. Hipfire is a square, rapid fire is a square, and then the slug is going to have an updated reticle. So this is a big deal. Since it is going to be no RNG on that pellet spread, the only thing different is a subfamily. This should get 6.5 meter kills again, possibly 7. Maybe if you have on opening shot, it might be a little bit more. This is actually a huge buff for shotguns, and you're going to see it. Once this goes live, you're going to see it. Shotguns are going to be back. They made it to where all aggressive shotguns do have that increased fire rate after a kill. And the rapid fires, the least used archetype, they give it a little bit more damage in PvE, and the reload speed benefit is only when reloading from an empty mag. Now the sidearms, they reduced Drang's zoom value from 14 to 13, so Drang is going to come right back in line. I think that it's still going to be good. Drang is an excellent sidearm, but I do think that the 3 bursts, the 2 bursts are going to come into play a little bit more. For the fusion rifles, they've hit tap the trigger. They've hit firmly planted. Still not enough, so on main ingredient only, they're reducing this ability from 49 to 35. Reduce aim assist from 59 to 45. So for main ingredient specifically, you want to run double targeting on your helmet. And essentially what that did from 49 to 35, stability wise, it makes it to where you have to have those rolls. You have to have under pressure tap the trigger. You have to have firmly planted tap the trigger. That way it evens out. Because if you don't have those perks, duo, it's an extremely poorly stable fusion rifle. They rebuilt the fusion rifle hip fire reticle so that it reacts more obviously to changes in the action cone when you're jumping. That's good. The glaive, making the projectiles more reliable. Melee attacks now benefit from exotics like Syntheseps, Worm God, Winter's Guile. Then we have things like Necrotic Grip. Glaive melee damage multipliers reduced 25-30% against champions, mini-bosses, bosses, and vehicles. Damage against majors and minors is unchanged. It was tearing them apart. Glaive melee base damage reduced from 75 to 67. Hand cannon, specifically for Rose since it's coming back. Increased the range from 38 to 43. Stability is reduced from 45 to 40. Handling 68 to 60. Airborne effectiveness is 20. Those kind of level out. It's really in line with the other adaptives. I'm glad that they had the foresight to change some of this. They're making blinding effects not as intrusive. And finally, Dragonfly Rampage Surrounded. Their mod behavior is going to be default, so you don't have to put it on. Rampage is going to get that 4.5 second duration. Dragonfly is going to give a little bit bigger of an explosion. Surrounded is now just a better perk overall. That means Enhanced Surrounded is going to be better because you don't have to use that mod. We have some reworks. Air Assault, for the 3rd time, now grants a stacking bonus to airborne effectiveness. So, I have a video coming out tomorrow. I talk a little bit about AE, and these are the types of things that the game needs. If they're going to continue to tweak this system, we need things like this in the game. So, get a kill, you get a stack of Air Assault. If you get a final blow from the air, immediately to ×2. Each stack is plus 30 AE, so plus 60 AE to your build. So if you have 40, maybe from an exotic, maybe you put on extended mag, whatever, you can have 100 AE with a weapon like this. And it makes you think if air assault's on that new Trials hand cannon, maybe it has opening shot too, it could be a beast from the air. So this is a really good change. It is now a viable perk. Headseeker, body shots now increase your precision multiplier and increase aim assist. Additional body shots reset the timer. It has about a half-second base timer. Body shots while Headseeker is active resets the timer. Encore. I love and I hate this because I do like Encore. Remember, Encore right now stacks to 3 times for headshots. Each headshot final blow gives plus 10 range, so you get max plus 30 range. A body shot final blow is an automatic plus 30 stability. It's beautiful. But now they combine them. So final blows now grant stacks of encore, and stacks grant increased stability, range, and accuracy. So that's new. Body shot finals give a stack. Precision finals give 2 stacks. We have a max of 4. Lasts for 7 seconds. Enhanced is 7.5. Final blows refresh that timer. Plus 8 stability, plus 5 range, and plus 1.25% accuracy per stack. It's backloaded now instead of front loaded as far as your stability. So if you're to get a max stack of 4, you'd have plus 32 stability. You'd have plus 20 range. Then, of course, the accuracy perks per stack. So Encore, giving range and stability is going to be a good perk. I've always thought that it's good. This kind of makes it coexist a little bit better. I like it. Now, the Seraph rounds, they said it's going to be appearing on more weapons next season, but in the current form, it's one of the strongest mags in the game. So they removed the plus 10% range scaler, now offers plus 7 stability, plus 3 range. Now, that's okay. And what that tells me, really, as far as a magazine, this is the best stability mag, hands down. No penalty for your range like steady rounds gives. This actually gives range. So I'm okay with this perk. All right, okay. This is a huge game changer, a sandbox altering game changer. Tunnel vision plus kill clip not being refreshable while active has always been counterintuitive, so we've set it up to allow that. This makes kill clip too strong compared to other damage perks, so we pulled it back. The duration of these buffs can now be refreshed if activated while already active. They reduce the kill clip damage from 33% to 25%. So automatically, something like Ace of Spades and Memento Mori skyrockets. Absolutely skyrockets. And this is all on the fly. I'm reading this live, but a ton of weapons have kill clip from your BXR. I believe that 120 hand cannons will be able to 2-tap still at low resilience, but it's tough. What kill clip's going to do now, essentially, I'd have to go through all the weapons, but it's going to make your TTK easier, but it's not going to alter it on a lot of weapons now. That's a big deal. Big deal. And honestly, things like Golden Tricorn become a little bit more appealing. 15% after a kill, it's a better rampage. We'll talk about it more in the future. Redirection now builds stacks against red bar enemies, consumes them on everything else. Matches a minor spec, other perks, that similar language. Now buffs. Hake Breach Armaments now has increased damage versus Ward of Dawn, Well of Radiance, by 30%, 60% with the Artifact mod. Damage against stasis crystals has been increased by 15%. Gutshot Straight for auto rifles increased from 10 to 20%. So there's probably going to be more in the future, but that makes them a little bit more viable. You do lose some aim assist, but these things are super stable now. Getting 20% more body damage is more than your regular damage perk. Like, it's 5% under kill clip now. So that's a big deal. Big change to Compulsive Reloader. Now remains active for half the magazine. So this new adaptive Suros hand cannon that has Suros synergy, something like Compulsive Reloader, Moving Target, Compulsive Reloader, Rangefinder, whatever it is, you're able to abuse that Suros synergy a lot more because of that reload. The Kantata has that right now. Kantata can get to 100 aim assist with your moving target and then have Compulsive Reloader to get that round in before every gunfight to have massive anti-flinch and 100 aim assist. It's now more of an active perk, and it's a fast reload. And for a lot of weapons, you know, your ARs, your scouts, even hand cannons, right? A 10-round mag, 12-round mag. If you're able to get a couple kills, it's almost going to be like Outlaw. That's how fast Compulsive Reloader is. So great change. High Impact Frame Intrinsic now allows a small amount of movement instead of just turning off with any movement. So that's good. Ambitious Assassin, they increased the time allowed between kills from 5 to 7 seconds. So it got another buff. Another great perk, well-rounded, big buff. Duration increased from 10 to 15 seconds. And stacking the effect, so ×1 to ×2, resets that timer back to 15. Recombination, they made some tweaks to make this function in PvP as intended. So now grants up to 100% bonus damage at max stacks in PvE, 50% in PvP, which is multi-kill clip ×3, Golden Tricorn ×2. The biggest damage bonus in the game. Zen Moment provides an extraordinarily strong, if not well understood, reduction to recoil angle. So what it really means, what Zen Moment's doing, is altering your actual visual pattern, your visual recoil. It's making it not move. They said, but missing would reset the perk completely, making it difficult to sustain. So it no longer deactivates on a miss, now has a 1-second timer. So Zen Moment got better. Rewind rounds now work as intended when hitting the cage created by Divinity. Genesis now triggers on breaking players' shields. Okay, so basically that means literally every gunfight that you get into, you're going to shoot a couple shots with your hand cannon, throw some bullets downstream with your AR, it's going to break the shield, you're going to get ammo back. That's going to be interesting. One Quiet Moment has a faster reactivation after a final blow. So that's cool. When you're outside of battle, you're going to get a fast reload. After you get a kill, it's almost going to be like a feeding frenzy. It's going to be a great perk. Run and gun was hard to trigger in PvP or encounters with not too many enemies. They have the number of final blows needed to activate this when going up against the most enemy types, so that's good. Now nerfs. Box breathing. Reduce damage bonus on scout rifles by 5%. So that is 110% to hung jury. Hung Jury is now going to need Radiant to get that back, which can be done fairly easily with Hunter. It's going to need a damage bonus, so in your Rift, it can still be done, but just not out of the gate. Unstoppable Force on Glaives, reduce the damage bonus from 30 to 20%. That's a big nerf to it. The Glaives still hit hard in projectile mode, and 20% on that Glaive is still really good, but the 30%, that's crazy. 1-2 Punch, okay, let's talk about this for a second. 1-2 Punch is a part of several combinations that allow stacking melee buffs to get higher than intended. So here's what 1-2 Punch will look like. Reduce bonus melee damage as follows. From 3 to 2 times versus most enemies with unpowered melees. From 1.8 to 1.4, most enemies with charged melees. Reduce the additional bonus versus bosses from 0.5 to 0.25. So what's not stated here is PvP. Currently right now, I guess we have the Hawk and Breach armaments, but currently right now, one of the best ways to take out a bubble or a warlock in a well is a 1-2 Punch shotgun. So I'm interested to see how this correlates. Most enemies, I mean, that's pretty broad. It could mean PvE, could mean PvP. So I'd like some clarification on it. So bug fixes to excess. Essentially, they just changed it to work as intended. Enhanced perks. This is a pretty big deal. All the ones that you've crafted, all the ones you will be crafting. Unrelenting now gives +5 health regen. So Unrelenting is a strong perk. If I remember correctly, it's 80 health and shield regeneration, so it'll be 85 health and shield regeneration. No longer gives a +5 handling. Perpetual motion. Remove the 0.1 second faster activation, which, okay, don't blink. Remove the 0.1 second grace period, and they added a 1 second faster activation of 2 stacks, so 9 seconds to get to perpetual motion times 2. Enhanced time payload now has +5 stability. Explosive payload +5 range. Enhanced firing line. 10 handling when you have allies near. No more range. Grave robber +5 handling. Explosive light now adds another charge, so even more. Cornered +10 stability, Cold Steel, Vorpal, Genesis. They removed the primary ammo overflow, but added additional handling. So I would assume +5. They didn't really say that. Flash counter on a sword, chain reaction, enhanced ambitious assassin, increase the allowed time from final blows from 6 to 8 seconds. And before earlier, it was 5 to 7, so it's 6 to 8. This is where I get excited, okay? They talk about exotic reworks, exoticness, fundamentals, and that's where you switch between Void, Arc, and Solar. They added stats for each of these elements, like Elemental Capacitor. So Arc is +25 handling, +5 range. Solar, +35 reload, +20 AE. Void, +20 stability, +10 aim assist. And then they start talking about Borealis. Breaking a match shield now refills the mag from reserves, and allows your next 5 shots to deal bonus damage, not activated by reloading. I've been talking about Borealis for years. Borealis is an absolute monster. 54 range, 62 stability, 75 handling. So on Arc, you will have 100 handling. Remember, this is an aggressive frame. It has the best stats in the game, pound for pound, on a snipe. Reloads at 45, aim assist is at 62. So on Solar, I have 80 reload. Void, 75 aim assist. It's going to receive flinch better. So Jade Rabbit, they changed the perk. Quickly landing 3 shots returns around to the mag and increases the damage of your next body shot. Stacks up to 3 increased damaged body shots, resets if you reload. Then we have some nerfs. Wither Horde, reduce the portal duration from 7.5 seconds to 4.5 seconds. That's PvE and the Crucible. It's not just going to sit there. Divinity, weaken 30% to 15%, still self buffs to 30. So if you're able to div somebody and let's say switch to a high impact hand cannon, a 120 is still going to do over 100 damage. Arbalist, reduce body shot damage to match Lawrence Driver. Galahorn got nerfed. Detonation and impact reduced by 25%. And what's crazy is Galahorn, we use it in the raid, we use it for, very specific scenarios, but Galahorn is the only one that can really get it done, right? The Vorpal Hothead with the Dead Big Ones is pretty good, but for a lot of these rockets, for them to actually do well, they need the Godslayer Warheads, which is a charge with light perk, and you need 4 mods of it. So hopefully they just keep reworking these rocket launchers. Forerunner, it did have the unintended damage buff. We talked about it in a previous video. It's back to its original damage of 67 crit, 37 body. It's currently doing 72 crit, 40 body. With things like Radiant, it will 2 crit 1 body in resilience. But it being its original form, high resilience survives, which as it should be. Buffs. This is that full auto setting, so no time to explain. Full auto is replaced with Feeding Frenzy. Traveler's Chosen. Full auto is replaced with Surplus. It has Surplus and Osmosis. Surplus is going to be really good on Traveler's Chosen. Really good. Vigilant Swing. Ensemble, it makes sense. A lot of people might not be, crazy about that, but with how the gun performs, its exotic perks, Ensemble is the perfect fit for it. Dead Man's Tail. They've made some small changes to its base damage, which will apply to all 120 RPM scout rifles. Okay. All 120 RPM scout rifles. Now prefers critical hits over body hits and hipfire if both types of targets are inside the precision aim cone. So that's good. It's going to magnetize to the head. They increased the body shot damage from 46 to 54. That's a substantial body shot buff. Let's see how that goes. Darcy now applies Jolt when damaging targets affected by Personal Assistant. Increase the airborne to 80. Wishender has always had a hidden damage bonus versus targets affected by Witherhoard due to its identity as a Taken Hunter's weapon. I didn't know that. They increased the bonus damage versus Witherhoard blighted targets from 10 to 25%. Whisper of the Worm, getting airborne effectiveness to 80. Prospector, getting chain reaction. Fourth Horseman, decreased recoil by 50%, so Fourth Horseman's going to feel a lot better. It's going to feel different than any Fourth Horseman we've ever used in the history of Destiny, so that's going to be really interesting. Forerunner, PvE buff, 30%, and the rock's damage by 60%. The reduced ammo cost is 6 to 4 for the rock. The outer edge of the rock, they increase the damage from 0 to 20%. Merciless, it's on a 5-second timer. It's going to be refreshed when you land hits, so there's a lot of good buffs here. Rat King, radius required to activate its perk increased from 15 to 20 meters. Acreus, remove the movement speed penalty. Bastion, reduce spread angle by 6%. They halved it. Quicksilver Storm, this is a bummer. Quicksilver Storm, especially with Lightfall, and like any PvE content, it was the jack of all trades, or would have been. They switched the rocket damage from arc to kinetic, so it could kind of be a makeshift arc weapon and break arc shields. Not gonna do that anymore, but it's still gonna hit really, really hard. And we know this because when I talked about it in the video, like in a Legend Lost sector versus shields that aren't arc, so like a solar shield, void shield, it still chunks them down heavily, that little micro missile. And of course, the big grenade launcher that it has does really good PvE damage. Now, for PvP, they did increase that damage from 80 to 120. And they increased the explosion radius from 3 to 4 meters. It's still not the best, but now you know that you can feel confident in shooting it and chunking an enemy player. And right now, it immediately takes out like Titan barriers. Pretty cool. Cold Heart got a big buff. Reduced cooldown on ionic trace generation from 3.5 to 2 seconds. Now maxes out stability and reload speed when at maximum damage, and picking up a trace reduces the time it takes to get maximum damage. So it is a pure Arc 3.0 weapon now. Really good job with that. Grand Overture, they increased the missile damage by 50%. Okay, that's extremely interesting, because if you have the Catalyst, it does blind. They're exactly right. They've dramatically increased the reward. The increased missile damage by 50%. That might be a play. We'll see how it works out. Xenophage, they split the damage. Essentially, the overall damage is increased by 5%. Half damage is impact, the rest is detonation. So it's kind of like explosive payload. And here's a little something for me. The Lightning Storm now correctly activates when hitting Divinity's bubble. One day, ladies and gentlemen, one day Cloud Strike will be a PvE monster. I don't know when, I don't know how, I don't know why, but that's the dream. That's what the people want. Armor. Huge nerfs to Wormgod and Winter's Guile. Reduce the maximum damage multiplier from 7.5 to 3.5 for both of them. Falcon, same but different. They say here's a sneak preview of the changes that's going to balance the Crucible and still maintains clear identity. So you're going to dodge, you're going to throw your smoke, go invisible. When you exit, you're going to get volatile rounds. So like the Funnel Web Hunter is going to be really, really good. But even better, the Collective Obligation Hunter. That's going to be so good. And in PvE, when you do a finisher while invisible, now you get the temporary weapon damage bonus and still gives the allies a reserve overshield. So they kept it intact for PvE, better for PvE, like 10 times better. And in the Crucible, it took away the pain point of it getting free damage on a class ability, and now it gets volatile rounds. So even in PvP, Collective Obligation, volatile rounds, Falcon, be there. I think it's going to be a thing, a fun thing. Things to look forward to. Heavy weapon damage rebalance. Tinkering with bringing up less effective options, so I think rockets, machine guns, and bringing down some outliers. So that would be your linear fusions, things like that. Sniper should get a buff. A large rebalance of airborne effectiveness. This needs to happen. Their plan is to make primary weapons significantly more accurate while airborne without any investments into the stat, like Icarus level starting accuracy from before Season 17. Some tweaks to the shotgun reticles, a pass at adding subclass 3.0 verb to several exotic weapons. There's currently 7, so Scorch, things like that. Then we start getting into invisibility. Essentially, and if you didn't know this, this is a good thing to know, there's 3 sections of a radar. Close range, 0 to 6 meters, pings anytime an enemy, invisible or not, is within its range. So if somebody's right on top of you, it's always going to ping. Mid-range PI, 6 to 24 meters. The gutter, the big range, is a maximum of 64. So with the update 6.3.01, when you're invisible, you're going to be limited to the middle range of 24 meters. You're not going to have the access from 24 to 64. It says, while 24 meters sounds like long range on paper, our playtests show that the reduction in information availability had a significant impact. And this is true. Think about your fall off on, let's say, right now, Drang. It's just a little bit further than that. something like a base summoner, a little bit less than that. Summoner's base range is 24.5, 25 meters. And in game, when you walk it out and you see it, 24 is pretty short. So it's not gonna be, let's say, on Endless Veil or Altars of Flame or Cauldron to smoke a door and then go all the way around. Because if they go all the way around and you meet them on the other side, they're not gonna see you on that other side anymore. So that's a big, big change. We'll see how it plays out. They go through the artifact mods, a ton of cool things there. We have the Arbalest thing, Community Ornament, Black Armory, Historic, Synthwave. There's a part of me that wants Black Armory because there's a part of me that just wants Black Armory weapons to be back. If I had to choose though, I mean, Historic's pretty sweet. I gotta go with Synthwave, dude. I love that feel. I mean, look at the reticle. Come on. Prime Gaming, we have some support, we have some Movie of the Weeks, we have some art, but that's it. And then they start talking about Space Grandma and the cookies. We know what's coming, right? It's the same loop. But there's some pretty significant things in here, and I would assume that there's gonna be a little bit more, right? We're gonna be getting new weapons coming with the new season. Time's gonna tell. We'll see how all this lands in game. Let's talk about it down below. Video tomorrow talking about the state of the game. Thank you guys for watching, and until the next one, I am CoolGuy.